다 상원어 마주들이 쉬어도 싶지도 다 가장 트레드 마셔야이.
I would like to wish everyone good morning, and we will continue from where we left off yesterday.
가장 dindir비 쉬어 오래 디벤드분 집은 냐와청 보통네서. 왜? 조세라서 보통에 미세바 녀즈녀 요로 대나 신도 지디 지게도 냐와 집아 통도 대바다 전달라도 수수 이게는 집을 깨버린 거는 미상에 나미냠소는 묘지의 시에 송소 대달 디벤드부도 신도 집에는 여바 깨버려 순바시에나 디바티아 뒤치 샤베 초감냠나 미초도 뉴도 샤고 디지 치르시나 디바 마장 다 치도 여도 대다양 다네 디바 마장 응원도 kumbrın 줄듯이 제레 지들은 딜랭에 들어 뉴를 수 있게 해소소 디바 마장 다 쉬우냠나 치다가 뒤지 다가 디바 창화다 미장에 치 미제번 랑이 소초베 남증에 보면도 대다량 이딘 미용 치다데 제다 미지 미되바 나다면은 군이야 루브르셀에 이 미데 셰소소 대나厕所로 떼매데 디번 맞아서 시도에 뉴도 장고였어 뒤에는 죄가 될라 투베는 죄버쳐 대들 준선 숨기 디번은 죄바 깨라 유케버잖아 페버시 장알 토신샤버 디우.
There will also be fear beyond death as a consequence of wrongdoing. Having descended into the great hells, the unbearable sufferings of being boiled, burnt, and so on are experienced, and this is quite terrifying. Seeing hells depicted, hearing about them, thinking about them, reading about them, and seeing models. If these make people shudder with fear, what need is there to speak of those who actually experience the unbearable fruition of their acts? Thus, wrongdoing will come to be regretted by understanding the terrible fears that result from it. Third is remorse by realizing the urgent need for purification. If you think it will probably be all right to rectify wrongs at some later time, realize that it will not be all right at all and that atonement is needed urgently. Why? Because there is a distinct possibility that death will come before wrongs have been purified. It says, "Before my wrongs are purified, I may well come to die. Pray save me swiftly so that I am definitely released from my wrongdoings." If you think that somehow you will not die before misdeeds have been purified, then consider this. The Lord of death will not bother in the least about how many misdeeds or not have been purified. He will steal life away when the opportunity presents itself. The time of death is uncertain. Thus it says, "The Lord of death, untrustworthy, won't tarry for what I've done or not." So no one, whether or not they're ill, should place their trust in this fleeting life. Since those who do not realize the uncertainty of their lifespan are quite likely to die without having cleared up their misdeeds, all wrongs should be purified as quickly as possible. The risk is very real, so give rise to great remorse. When sincere remorse has been stimulated by the three contemplations described above, misdeeds should be admitted and purification requested in front of either the general or special sources of refuge.
대들 넘버 수인지 묶어도 줘도 디반 다반에 빼나 카차비 부르는 마거니 슈와체바다 자오시 송소 뭐 미동아 소묘청아 시제 제자 미국에도 구주 쓰고세베 미디진시게 넘버 수인지 묶어도 줘도 냠솔라베 디바찬을 다져도 토고 대들이야 간식은지 밤에 교발을 치니 받아 되면 교대 나와 진짜도 남즈 가우선딩 통대 대지시에 송소.
Thus it has been taught that from the power of total repentance will purify misdeeds, just as a plea from someone who cannot afford to repay a debt to a rich man may persuade him to wipe out that debt. There was once an evil person known as Angulimala. Even though he had committed grave misdeeds, killing 999 people, he managed to purify his evils and achieve the state of an arhat by practicing this power of the thorough application of total and utter remorse. Thus it is said, once someone who previously did not care later becomes to learn to become heedful, he becomes beautified like the moon breaking from the clouds, as was the case with Nanda, Angulimala, Ajatashatru, and Udayana.
다데 미디미 초게 드부 판수스기 님베도 비셴도 교회치로 셰송소 대다량 디진시빈 죄레네 동번이고 디바창으로 송소 도지 제발레네 도지 사무tembe 디바창으로 송소 탐지 송고에 개와도 봉상을 쉬빈 돌레네 상하기 대바체베 디바창으로 송소 매도즈베 송레네 디진시비 최대라 최바체베 디바창으로 송소 디진시비 구수기 류레네 구수신베 디바창으로 송소现在去年吧到老吧的车了说 개vel레 감면샤바데 디 디바창을 송소 대더냐 류얼론레 가시 디벨레 샤바 개와 있는 곳에데 니들 찐린 중화시 지된 니들 나वर 주시에 송소 와나 디베니브 개와 차바데 디바 진이 차바 디니 개와 차거스면 시야나 마인데 양엔데 신기 돌레 개와 지체게 디보 망본 점데 시다 도지 충유리럽 밤 매충유 저신감 독중의 샘진 점바다 개와 충이게 디버 첨부 점에나 전도니와 첨부니도 시 송소 세외 담에 놀래야 관계 개와 떠나서 디버 신도 미지기 렌지랍도 샤바에 대다 탐지 창원이 시 송소 대다른 녀부구도 제외도 디버 다바네 빼나 연구기 담접도 주베 가사지 담접네 총을 취재돼 제상부 주고다라고 시 송소.
The second of the four powers is the power of thoroughly applying the remedy. Virtuous actions are the remedy for misdeeds. They will consume impurities. Thus the Compendium of Higher Knowledge says, actions with remedial powers will prevent corresponding misdeeds from coming to unwholesome fruition by transforming the consequence into something else. In the Treasury of the Tathagatas, it says that cultivating awareness of emptiness purifies misdeeds. In the Diamond Cutter Sutra, it says that misdeeds will be purified by reciting the profound scriptures. In the King for Establishing the Three Commitments Tantra and in the Questions of Subahu Tantra, it says that misdeeds will be purified by reciting mantras. In the Heap of Flowers Dharani, it says that faults are purified by making offerings to the stupas of the Buddha. It also says in the section on Buddha images that making images of the Buddha will purify misdeeds. Elsewhere it says that listening to teachings, reading or writing out the scriptures and so forth, whichever one feels for the most, will also purify wrong actions. The Topics of the Vinaya says, whoever has committed evil action but then annihilates it through virtue, illuminates this world like the sun or moon emerging from the clouds. You may wonder, if engaging in virtue is the antidote for evil, then do you have to do a quantity of good that is equivalent to the amount of bad previously done? It is not so. The great Parinirvana Sutra tells us, even a single virtuous act overcomes many evils, and just as a small vajra can destroy a mountain, a little fire can burn down a forest, or a minute amount of poison can kill beings, likewise a small beneficial action can overcome a great wrong. It is most efficacious. The Sutra of Golden Light explains, someone who may have committed unbearable evils for 1,000 ages, yet performing just one perfect purification will cleanse all their wrongs. Thus it has been taught that misdeeds will be purified by the power of thoroughly applying remedies. It is like someone who has fallen into a putrid swamp and once out of the swamp bathes and is anointed with perfumed oils.
Papa Jushu Gidu Tobo, Tedria, Hashing Pame Cubala, Chine Pada de Budan, our Tinde de Bonam de Ghost on the Tonde de Share Son So. Yabala Toba Tom, Namigi Gini, Chichi Diba, Troje de Tombo, Tedria, Jambanam Gitaga, the Nombala Person, Benesidan Yomigis, Share Sombataro, Tedria Ballet of Diban Tabane, Pena, Gun never think you walk at you at the Draw Share Son So. Jungo Share Chow, Mela Chabi, Dijensia, Yabalet of Tom Yansala, Diban Tane. Judgment Bedubuto, Tedrian, Hashing Japame, Cuba, like Chini Pada de Judean, our Tinde of Namzi. Go Sunday 20 disease, Sonso. Ding it on the Kujosumla. Kilson Roa, the Shanjo of the same Gabo, Tedrian Kujola Jambu, Divan Davan, Pametoba Jibali. Kanda Sanki Gibson, Tedang and Romi, Million upon and Tedal High Ludo, Shebalas of Sonso. Young and Dezing Dollar, Kujosum like Kilson, Jibome, Toba, you share Sonso. Shanju the same give it the Bandavane, Papa Tumbuku and Dole. Make you chat on the Sabercheve, Sai, Waterbo, Yabatam the Silvercheve, gave a metabo, she has Sonso, Junju Lega, the Washington Mrs. Chena, Paladin and Jibuchin, but the Canadian you can do you. tela pasenam gi jime de she sunso tedar tengi togi diban tabane penang kanyimbe wangpo chelan jubam tula ngaji tabada jaw she sunso ngoi gibu tongden she jaw pasebe dijinshige tengi tum nyamsalambe 디바탄 전주 선버 규르도 대다리야 가정을 이제 밤에 교발에 친에 받아 된바 교대야 나와 진짜다 남자들 고선리 통데 디지 시에 송소 대다르 또 대다르리 디바타버는 교나 시계 샤나 다 매게 찍고서 대다르 샤베 디바타버 딱 밀람도 용데 규제기 손에 밀람나 생애 교바다 쇼다 엄마라서 통하다 니마다 나와 통하다 난가라 좋아다 멤버라다 마해도 민나 못 투바다 개노다 개노미기 통하다 我们中新的浪波的居住的日的生计车的看上个的这个的去年把那说白面的这个的这样有的些数这个下边些新多
There was once a nobleman's son called Udayana. Even though he had killed his own mother, he managed, through the power of thoroughly applying the remedy, to purify himself of his misdeeds. He was reborn as a god and attained the dharma, a result of a stream enterer. Once someone who previously did not care later comes to learn to be heedful. He becomes beautified like the moon breaking free from clouds, as was the case with Nanda, Angulimala, Ajatashattu, and Udayana. Third is the power of renouncing harmful acts. In awe of the full consequences of karma, you desist from wrong henceforth, thinking, I supplicate you, guides, accept that I am ashamed of my misdeeds. They were not good, and therefore I will never do such acts again. Thus it has been taught that through the power of renouncing evil will purify misdeeds, just as diverting a dangerous river removes the threat to a town. Once there was a person called Nanda who harbored much desire for women. Even though he had committed wrongs, through practicing this power of renouncing evil, his faults were purified, and he attained the state of an arhat. Once someone who previously did not care later comes to learn to be heedful, he becomes beautified like the moon breaking free from clouds, as was the case with Nanda, Angulimala, Ajatashattu, and Udayana. Fourth of the four powers is the power of the support. This comes from taking refuge in developing bodhicitta. Seeking shelter in the three most precious refuges will purify misdeeds, as is said in the story of the sow. Those who have taken refuge in the Buddhas will not take birth in the states of suffering. Having left their human bodies, they obtain celestial ones. The great Nirvana Sutra says, one who has sought refuge in the three jewels will attain fearlessness. The development of bodhicitta will purify misdeeds. The marvelous Arya Sutra says, it will put an end to all non-virtuous actions like burying them for good. It will burn up all evil like the fire at the end of the eon. The guide to the bodhisattva way of life also tells us, the support of someone strong and fearless can free us from fear. Likewise, if supported in this way, we will be quickly liberated, even though we may have committed many unbearable wrongs. How then could those who care not rely upon such support? Thus the power of the support purifies faults. For example, the support of refuge could be compared, as has been stated, to that of a strong person helping out weak followers. The support of bodhicitta development could be compared to the neutralization of a powerful poison by reciting the appropriate mantra. There once was a prince called Ajatashattu who had committed the great evil of patricide. Nevertheless, he was purified through the power of support and became a bodhisattva. Once someone who previously did not care later comes to learn to be heedful, he becomes beautified like a moon breaking free from clouds, as was the case with Nanda, Angulimala, Ajatashattu, and Udayana. Since each of the four above powers is capable of purifying misdeeds, there is no need even to mention how effective all four combined will be. In practice, those who do admit and repair their wrongs in the ways explained above experience signs of the purification in their dreams. The Dharani of encouragement explains, dreams are the following signs of breaking free from faults: vomiting bad food or drinking milk like yogurt or the like, seeing the sun and the moon flying in the sky, seeing a blazing fire, seeing buffaloes, seeing a dark, powerful person or an assembly of monks or nuns, seeing a milk-producing tree, seeing elephants or mighty bulls, sitting on a mountain, a lion throne or a mansion, listening to the Dharma teachings, and so forth. This concludes the explanation on confessing past wrongs.
다 디나로리아 간식군시 밤에 교받다 진에 받아대고 교대한사 쇼로가 대 팅 시즈지 싱아지 용고 아래 제자 디 쇼로가 대 뱅글가고 루루 인세베 시징긴 지지지 시징이 춤에 지지지래.
Now, in this passage, there is the stanza, once someone who previously did not care later comes to learn to be heedful, he becomes beautified like the moon breaking free from clouds, as was the case with Nanda, Angulimala, Ajatashatru, and Udayana. So this verse appears 4 or 5 times, and its source is the Letter to a Friend by Nagarjuna.
고본루루 인세베 시징디 야알 나름 음아지 야알이야 지 다르게 심으시라요 자 티버치 중기 여와메 단도나 지다 라베 싱아사 주라 당아 저 개념기 라베 싱아데 쉬스메 제랴 오불루루기 시진데 로라 심체 에나마 가수 교리아 되게 로스 다르게 심부 음아 야알이야 야레스.
Now, the Letter to a Friend by Nagarjuna was very popular in India in ancient times. And this is without distinction between the foundation and the greater vehicles. There was a custom that after one took the 5 precepts, one would then memorize this letter to a friend. And this is a custom that spread all over India.
니 나라래야 go 순딩 통된 대제신 제제 다간다 가르 배춘 더지 미 민자 시기 다 민지여브래.
And so here the last line says, as was the case with Nanda, Angulimala, Ajatashatru, and Udayana. And so this is using 4 different people as examples.
That goes at it and you jung goes and then Sangi Jum Dende, that kind of Gumshe, which are jung goes at Pujimajita came at that time, Kashre, the Gumshe of Shadow. That the name Suntin Sade, Suntin Sade, Sami Hako there, which that the Sumiton Sade, Miche. Tongden Sade, that the sheeting Ganji Jore, that sheeting Ganji Modo, as Yomane. Jezan Tina Lolea and Tongden Sade, Gabu Mageta. Ye mean red, the she. This is give yours this school. Give my yet. Thank you, Wadley, passive. Give Tonden says passive design Larwa. That being understand. Good Dibatan changes some cubic is sure, but that is that the give Tonden said, Sura Gelbu, Princess, Prince Tonden said the Carresana, that the give my yet in interest. That the name Desire and a mass saving. It's a time legend at Digita,
Now, of these 4 people, Nanda is, we often call him the cousin Nanda. He was a relative of the Buddha, a cousin of the Buddha, not of course the same parents. He was a cousin though. And then Angulimala, I'm sure you all know of Angulimala. He was the one who wore the necklace of fingers. Then the next one, Ajatashatru. In this English translation, it says Ajatashatru. In the Tibetan and in the Sanskrit, it gives a different name. But the one Indian commentary on the letter to a friend does identify it as Ajatashatru. And so Ajatashatru was a prince who killed his father. But then after purifying his misdeeds, he became a bodhisattva. And so this is the prince Ajatashatru. And then, excuse me, and then Udayana is someone who had killed his mother. So he'd committed the act of killing his mother.
통대사 디 가라데 통대사 타마딜이야 디 통대사 대당아 주 개롱 화심부사죠래 다 개롱 화심부사데 다 녀도 사부죠 다디 지 개롱 화심부사데 가라서 다지 제라나의 준비시 이야기 제라나의 준비시 이야기 사람 저것도 딱 한다 탐지 예버마웨기 딱 한다 이제 초점마웨 지 초도 교바 지 준비시 사주용디 알아 준비시 낭생기 준비 이시에 잡으려서 왔다 다 근데 아주 뒤져다 대바죠 얘기 년도 대바죠 얘기 아직 가져다지 좀 더 시행하죠. 뇌주를 비추셔. 그렇죠. 디나는 송바의 제비미나 다들이야 대지야. 디 준바 익시에기 제샤베기. 당 아주 벽에 나로 슝루 제라크에 콜로스거라. 단도나 대바적 얘기 뇌주디 마시 죄샤와 드리지 베시시래. 다들 아주 년퇴기 대바트스 제주고래야 다지 루유 이제서는 장도 다간다지 콩도세게 더 이제 개침으로 차려야래 다지단 될래야 유르민다만 왜야래 아주 벽에나 유르샤버지야래 근데 딩외네 벽에나 뭐 유르고네 아니 자나래야 딩 버진 유르민다 숨지여자 디나는 다 게라시슈르지디 지 당选장啊如果是当选长就是要这些下第哪了다 가르쳐야 했잖아 가르쳐다 년도기 자외 대바 계과 금전데 디 자외 대바 년도기 당부 나 가르쳐 나르기 긴둥이 되대 안 자외 대바 니수 계과 금전데 결혼하 첨불이야 도대지 다 결혼하 첨불사데 컨디지레스람도 결혼하 첨불이 거디 안더디 제다 또 시아바 첨부 나로래야 안 결혼하 첨불로 유 다지 예보시라야 되시레샤 제장 결혼하 첨부로 유 대단 데데 대제사 다디 대제로 유든 잡으시도 제상 군이 직전에 참석 대제사야 돼 마시 참석 대제사의 학민이야 대제스로 와. 다 군이 지인다 가인다 야부지 하고 문 다간다 지코라 제단 대수는 저 루규디는 잡으시도 다 들으시죠. 결혼할 준비기 그게다지 신가사지 뉴주지저와 신가사지 그랑 되반로지 다지 신가스도 다 그게 따완로지 다점발데 네바여 동도르지 다점발 교연도 견주를 치지 되지 교연스럽지 다 간다 따와르지 나시에브레 안 텔라 땡체 자외 되바 계속해서 됐어
Now, the Udayana here, this actually was, there was also a bhikshu, he may well have been a bhikshu who is also known as Mahadeva. So whether he's known as Dechen or a great happiness or Mahadeva, a great god. In any case, among the four great venerable masters of the exposition school, there was one who was called Dechen or Udayana, and he was one of the great masters of the exposition school. Now, at that time, after the Buddha passed away, the teachings of the Buddha split into 18 different schools. And so there are different explanations of this, but there was the master Vasumitra, who wrote a text that describes how the 18 schools all divide. And this is an important historical document, a historical source, one of the greatest sources for describing how the 18 schools of the listeners appeared. And this has been translated several times. There is a translation of it into Tibetan. There are also 3 different translations of it into Chinese. The most famous of the Chinese translations is the translation by the Tang Dynasty master translator Xin Zang. And in his, in this, it describes the reason why the 18 schools of the listeners split from each other. And then also, and so here it talks about the reason, or the root of this being the actions, being the story. In describing the root of the split, it describes the topic of the Bhikshu Mahadeva. And now this is also described in the treatise of the Great Exposition. It also describes the story of Mahadeva in great detail. Now, when we look at the stories of the stories of Udayana and Mahadeva, then actually the stories of these 2 bhikshus are extremely similar. They're just about the same. So the story of Udayana and of Mahadeva are basically the same. Now, whether they were not the same individual, their stories are so extremely similar. In any case, Mahadeva had a particular view, which he called the 5 bases, and these 5 bases became were a way of describing or a way of criticizing the arhats. And so these were his 5 particular views, and it is on the basis of these 5 particular views that the original division of the listeners into 2 different major schools began.
다들 슈누 치라고 콜로디 다 야게 나지 이부 중이 론 마세 이부 중이 론 지스바 드네 게롱라시면 다팀 비초 다 대시 뭐지 다 드네 세상 디 디지슈아체 다드네 데야 디송도아 전주적 셈게네 디번더로디 롱데 파바 동보괴베기 또의 롱지 장아제들이 송샤.
Now there is also a citation here giving the method in which bodhicitta will purify misdeeds, and this comes from the marvelous array or Gandavyuha Sutra.
디 미기위 취하탐지 세버체 사이 오더보스 다 이내야 너 코란나 다당을 안 소지 근유나를 예데베기 다 너의 나를 야 측중세 민다를 쇼야지 귤기 개발도지나 가래나다 디즈 민다를 쇼인데 있어래 디나로를 가르쳐 미기위 취하탐지 누버체베 사이 오더보스 다 미기위 취하탐지 누버체베스 두산에 다 간다 베나징 아주지 자라르지 this 카르마 지 살야 사이월 베샤위노고 마 누브네 바 카르지 자라 통화 매베찬 매베찬다 마 누브데 세월마 준주예베지 누브조예베지 근데 인자 안 디준전 때에다 미기위쳐는지 누브르체바사지 근데 송도 스탄도나 세버체바 누브르체바사다 퇴기산데 시작해버려 좀 도와 다임네 디즈안스 개발을 내용이야. 다 드네 먹고 싶어요. 아주 다지 롱창윤 뉴산에 야 다대기 근규나를 예대게 근규게 롱시대다. 안징 아주 덴주 초난 장샤베 롱티비.假设 야탐바 롱지 직벌을 차가. 지단 삼성 귤기 체바드니 요래. 귤 메다메다. 다 개방하면 별이야. 네 당보도 와봐지 근규 빠르도 그 지야요 말 라베 지제 그냥 디지 개발로 유서래 다 빠르도 그야 신바르도 그야 디 중내야 지균으로 비차지 다 갈아간좀 지규를 총지 내가 토하냐 때 롱지도 지규를 좀 하지 양데 섭딩에야 테스트에서 지가수야 근규를 라베 지샤 인자 소소 롱보소 미다 테스트 개발을 지 지르는 일이 개발을 하러 근데 양데 있어요 안 다나신 ngārgi kheba māngbō chīki lōngsī dīdi sāngwā lō tūk lī yā yuwa yin dū sāne tūk lā kāng yuwa dā mā sōng shē dū sāne yā tsāmzā yā dē dēsi kheba rā chūk duwa dā yin dū sāne yā dē dēki kheba rā chī yōng dī yā rē yā kāshē lōngsī kāshē dā ngā dē shē
Now that that citation, the way it is cited here and the way it actually appears in the sutra that appears in the Kanjur are worded slightly differently. The difference is that here it says it will put an end to all a non-virtuous action like burying them for good. In the Kanjur, the way it appears, it says all the non-virtuous actions will disappear as if buried for good. And so there's so it's a difference. It's saying that all the misdeeds, all the non-virtues will disappear. It's like when a thing becomes buried under the earth, and it gets further and further, goes further and further into the earth and the dirt. Then it disappears, and you can no longer see it. So in this way, the misdeeds will disappear. And so that's what it says in the sutra. Now, this is just a very slight difference here. It says it will put an end to virtuous actions as opposed to the non-virtuous actions will disappear. It's a very slight difference. Now, when citations are given, then it's difficult to always say that 100% that the citations given in the treatises match the citations as they're found in the Kanjur, the collected words of the Buddha. Sometimes this is a difference of the translation. And also it's because of the fact that in the old days in Tibet, the Kanjur had not been printed. It was copied out by hand. And because it was copied out by hand, there are of course minor differences and discrepancies that did occur. It was only later that when the Kanjur, the words of the Buddha, were printed in woodblock editions that they became standardized. And at that point, the citations also became standardized. But when the copies were all written out by hand, there were little minor differences that did crop up between the copies in different regions. And another factor is that when the scholars, great masters of the past, would cite scripture, they would recite the scriptures that they had memorized. And so because they were reciting it from memory, it's also possible that there were also some discrepancies.
Bena targengi da liu tangbe nan ya liu tangbo somar da liu tangbo chhe da liu tangbo sen zhe ge da di na ro ya di xi ni bu ge ke du li ya a zhe di kai go di xi ni bu zhu gen yang lai kya semli gyajin ga ji dina numi simje ga mese ji ya le 제가 다가다 디난 디신님 루근 용을 캡사죠. 다 디 그런지 쇼로가 지스 주요래. 디 치강 당부들이야. 디신님 루근 용을 캡사죠. 디 디신님 루근 용을 캡사디. 아주 근규나로 차이는 있잖아. 디 딩지게 말해. 딩지게 나로래야. 다 롱드리지 타나래. 제산디 딩이지 예배 나로라 디신님이 조금 연락해 셈리 자신 가서 지사지 근데 되는 뉴미심진 가면서 줘. 근데 인주산 딱 간다 조조다 디신님이 조금 연락해 시간 당부 디신님이 조금 연락해. 근데 지치죠래. 다들 아주 너 딩이지 예배다 딩이지 예배는 더 니즈도 지중으로 니즈도 다 상말 세브레 예요 말에 이나야 야가르기 아니 땡주 가시에 나로래야 디신이 주고 영화 해서야돼 장샤 녜딩기 누유 망보네 소아레스 도딩인지 개발라서 봐 다워 드미 쉬빈 도스과 디디 참서 디딩지 개빈 돌려야 천신래 다워 드미 도스 그래 다워 드미 쉬서 봐 아마다 다 메돈다제 비죠 봐 메돈다제 쉬빈 도스 디지서 다워 드미 쉬빈 도스 다 간다 즉 제네 야게 나로 버지 이 다워 드미 쉬빈 도스 할 디질라도 섭서 간다라 녜딩 두규 망변 나로라 아니 이신이 비르고 영화라 캡스 된 다나식 당기 타게나 롱차샤 상마 장지들이 치우샤 제상 개방아무지 야갈이야 지 띵인지 개뷰기 빼시엔레 현지를 퍼지 때 맨로서 버지 디치디 요 맨로서 버지 그래서나 디 야가 땡슈 망변 나로라 디 롱디 장샤 제상 참성 아주 벽에 돌아 많이 베점시기 야 베자원이 요마르스라 돼야 돼 가라 가버스지 인디 소리 야 야가르 개베 땡주 나로 연종되게 요르시 되지 망우용도 와 제사 땡주산에 디제 토하냐 제가 저기 룽체외 걸이야 지한테 삼로디 디스지 가서 야심부르지 랍산지 건주나로 봐 그도지 체지 많이 다민도스 체제 라사 라투야 메베 소치 드리지 야치 투섬 시작하다 계속 무슨 말로 섬들
Another example of this in the Ornament of Pure Realization, or the Ornament of Precious Liberation, is in the first chapter where it discusses Buddha nature. There is a citation, one verse that begins with the line, Buddha nature permeates all sentient beings. So this line, Buddha nature permeates all sentient beings, is a line that is attributed to a sutra, to the King of Samadhi Sutra. But when we searched for it in the Kanjur, the text of the Kanjur that we have, we could not find it. We looked everywhere, but we could not find it. Now, so this line, Buddha nature permeates all sentient beings, is said to be in the King of Samadhi Sutra, and there are two different King of Samadhi Sutras, a long and a short one, and we searched both and could not find it anywhere in this. However, there are many treatises from the Indian tradition that cite this verse, saying Buddha nature permeates all sentient beings, and it also appears in many different commentaries on the sutras and the tantras. Now, this sutra is sometimes attributed to the Sutra of the Lamp of the Moon, but this is actually another name for the King of Samadhi Sutra. And another name for this is also, it is called the Sutra of Supushpa Prabha. And so it's also in the Sutra of Supushpa Prabha, or in Tibetan the name is Metot Dadze. In any case, these are different names for the King of Samadhi Sutra, and in Chinese it's primarily known under the name of the Lamp of the Moon Sutra. In any case, it is cited in many scriptures of the sutras and tantras of the profound meaning, and it says that, or the definitive meaning, it says that Buddha nature permeates all sentient beings, and this appears in many different places. And so my suspicion is that in the ancient India, there used to be a different recension or a different copy of the King of Samadhi Sutra, which included this lines. And the reason for this is that it's cited in so many different sutras that it must appear somewhere. Even though it does not appear in the standardized Tibetan Kanjur, it is cited so frequently that you cannot say that it did not exist, or that it was not initially there, because it appears in so many different treatises by Indian masters. So when we look for citations, when we search the citations, then we need to think about them on a little bit more expansive or a little bit broader level. if we open up the conjure and search from the sutra and don't search in all the sutras and don't find it, we cannot immediately say, oh, it is not there, it does not exist, because so this is something we just need to keep in the back of our minds.
드리니야 지 근규르던 제거를 지 용디도 지 계절을 최지들이 정말에 간소니 디시아와 삼바를 지게 정와서 다 근데 최소 다 계절이 최연주 산다데 최베 쇼라 파지 바 계절이 시에샤는 정면으로 som정도 다 달로 스두스다네야 예돈 주루스고다 안데 지 베베기 안 로스 오마네 다른 예돈 주루로리아 예돈 주루긴 나와 니백 진짜 니백 체 다가서 체다 체랑도 말아봤다 다 남경 아주 칼 체에서 라브더마도 다디 인지디 체바라다 그 처음으로 와다 체 니마를 쓰대요 그러다 제자다 가다 제바스케면 다들 십제시면 다들 가다디 때리 주시 니모들이야 대체 주시 니모 소머다 지세 주시 니모들이야 안수데 장 주루베 장 가면 보고지 주루베 안 제제 이게 일단 제거로치 차임래
So, talking about the conjurer, we've sort of digressed and spoken about the conjurer, and I think so. Since I've already digressed and spoken about the conjurer, I think it would be fine to actually mention something else as well. And so this year, and this means the Western year, not the upcoming Tibetan year, the Western year of 2016, on February 14th, we will have an event commemorating the 16th Gyalong Karmapa.
Gyalong Karmapa kunde da rimjeng narolya da ji gungye qixue de kunde yi chongyo are samara chengge kunde ji de Karmapa kunde jue gablia uzang lia desar chenpo chongje da desar sanan da uzang la tuju chenpo chongje tindege da ji gyan la denche chipsi punjur chenpo che chimbelia denche ane ji kamsang ga debati nyongui chemu shidub ji shidub lesu kang thone binya ta shidub lesu sarada do chusinyi sarada do kang thone binya chedang andana shi ji kashura da ji jigden kang thone chebinya ta nyongui chemu chi ara 제자 디기 다 공에 첨부시 채야 알아 삼천이 다 드네 니버디 장원 주루베 걸이야 안 별이야 아니지 ngaar chunyu mewe ta tyungyur chenpo chungse ane ji kwanza kyangwa chenpo zor gyube ta ji pyoge kanda ji gyamne changwalo ji chige lungbalaya pe kwaya chigdang ane pyomi shije nyi su ke kwaya chigne dang tu chungbare ane 급디두스다는 경험주 주베기 아니지 가수라다 템버지다 제라도 그 유기 템베기 지 냠발 라스기 통계로지 신경 조르지 지 가수라다지 우티도 조지 낭체 다가다 뒤뒤 공로 제시를 차대요라 제가 우티 조를 낭체 안지게 가수에 급주도자나 공에 망부지 개도 세세 잘해나요래 제자 다 디니부디 까마부 군지림 주나로네 다 공에 치슈를 부지다 아야 지 다가나 신기 가다를 가수에 아주기 아주 루규 토래야 치미 대비입니다 지 오늘 가수지 파자 치슈엔르지 니 차대 알아서 도스 등이에요.
Now, among all the different incarnations of the Karmapas, the two who faced the most difficulties, or there were two who faced the most difficulties. One of these was the 10th Karmapa, Chin Dorje. who lived at a time when the Kagyu teachings in central Tibet faced great difficulty. There were many political changes and conflict in central Tibet that created great difficulties for the teachings of the Karma Kamsang, and so this is a time when they were in danger of disappearing. And this is whether we think about it in terms of the Dharma or whether we think about it in terms of political and social situation, there are enormous difficulties for the Karma Kamsan lineage at the time of the 10th Karmapa. The second Karmapa, the second incarnation of the Karmapa who faced such great difficulties was the 16th Karmapa. It was during his time that Tibet underwent changes such as it had never undergone before. And the Dalai Lama and all of the other lamas and gurus who are the great refuges of Tibet all had to flee. And likewise, many Tibetan people were also had their lives disrupted and were forced to seek refuge, become refugees. Now, at that time, the 16th Karmapa took great responsibility for the teachings of Buddhism in general and for the teachings of the Karma Kagyu in particular, in order to revive them, in order to provide the facilities or the situation where they would be able to thrive. And so he was, because he was one of the senior lamas, he took a great responsibility in this and underwent great difficulties to do so. In any case, these two Karmapas are those among all of the different incarnations of the Karmapas who encountered the greatest difficulties. And I think when we look back at the history of the time, when we look back at it, we see that they also had some of the strongest effect or made the strongest imprints.
다 버지 자동한 뒤에 또 사이즈 다 마우치면 등에 자동 드문로 and 수제 퍼센트.
Okay, so it's time for tea, and so rather than speak too much, it's better to have some tea. So we will take the break now.
미망우지 남중 아주 콘트로사 이 규겐 야저 가자 야저베 망부지 칼라야 부마란 콘트로사야 알드리스도와 제가 차야부 돈은 애한테 차야부 상말에 안 콘트로시 그래서 다지 드리지.
Most people, the main thing that really gets them angry is when they don't get good food. And so, if you think, I'm going to get some good tea, then you don't get it. You get upset.
다들 원수는 신기 다간들 교육은 유름 세대 어디 드린 뉴스안에 아니 영어 주루베기 다 가수에다 자버틀레 지간 디난지 모두 템바스나 장도 미세지 가르차도도 사나 교회 수로 근주름지 되게 근주르데 아니 발로 소마르다지 진짜 토네 발로捐체 안지 리메베 최대 가 상마로리아 준비 나네 간다 진짜 기타 간다 가수에 아 자버틀레 데 미세르지리아 다 미망부치기 데 미세르지 통대야래 제자 디균센 때네 다리 영어주루베기 다 제대 제고도 답뒤체 저다 장 근주루사데 근주루 답배시여브레 제자 장 근주루 디 싱바르레 제자 싱바르메 근주르디 엔더리 영주르비 제렌저그 토리아 아주다 운제차다 운제차들이
Now, among all of the activities of the 16th Karmapa, the one that really stands out, the one that is really a special activity, is that he reprinted the Derge Kanjur, the Derge collected words, the Derge edition of the collected words of the Buddha. And then he distributed this to monasteries of all of the different sects. And so this is really one of his outstanding actions, and many people say that it is one of his most special or outstanding actions. And so on the commemoration of the 16th Karmapa that will be held in, this year, we will also feature the unveiling of a new reprint of the Chang Kanjur, the woodblock edition of the Chang Kanjur. So this will be unveiled during the commemoration of the 16th Karmapa.
Chang Kanjur sa de karistana ta mingne Chang Kanjur la ko ya de phele ya ta phesam ta kana Chang sa ge ta genchen de jure genchen so da genchen ji gegab chunchun sarab de jure 제가 디기 장기 개보 뒤럽 주디면 나눠라 장기 개보 다 까마면 선언을 대해서 다 꾸란 운에는 명들이야 무증스 봐 아니 지 벽에 명대 그래야 돼 까마면 선언을 대해서 공기 진다체 샤마 주부치 원주기 아니 슈다 제체 버준 쉬베 다 근규르 베 차디야레 데 근규르 베데 아주 별에 단 장디 지 별의 대바침으로 제제 안지 별이 공도하는 지 참도 지디가 데 별 공도하는 제 거기도 산 장스 장거 월이야 별 동감 루규 sommer 감그 호조기 루규기 감 사상 왕셔야지 장기 ngaw도 류시 겁도 주사는 장대 지 타게 치슈 겁럽지도 충분해 제가 겁도 주산다 상하셔 인주산은 별랑이야 별사랑이야 엔 저거 유를 붙이 신바도 켜봐 통마도 차디 하래 제가 디준선에 되네 엔다지 루유기 린탕 선한 장도 다 루유 린탕 전부 예대 지다 다가나 신기 다 장근규 버신디 치준 장내 리당 권선래 된진 쉬비제 리당 권선래 된진 쉬네 엔텔이야 치주 리당 파르마사 리당 근규르사 되지 체 도스톱래 리당 근규시 체 톱래 가다 디버신디네 아니 다 지네 디 가사다 버신디네 메사테지 저도요 다 버신 카시지마도 라요 말 다 디마 파르 잡샤베기 베 버지다 숨시 다니 숨마다베 저블링 토리아 메베 소스도 샤디야래 제가 진짜다 르느 자신을 차리게 인주스 땡아 저 마베 시시 버준을 체시 안 디렉 토안에 딱 간다 직 때만 냐발라소 여러분 들리지 배 가셔다 삼로 스탄치 들리지 에네다 버준으로도 쉬어야래
Now, the reason why we are calling this why this is called the Chang Kanjura is that when we talk about Tibet, actually there's an area called the Chang, the Kingdom of Jiang, which was a minor kingdom that spread widely at that time. And this is the time that the Chang Kanjura was reprinted, was the 17th century. It was reprinted by the king of Jiang named Karma Mipam Sunam Rabten, or his Chinese name is Mu Tsung. In any case, in Tibetan, his name is Karma Mipam Sunam Rabten, and it was under his time that the kingdom of Jiang was at its greatest spread. So this king was the patron, and the Shamar Chukyi Wangchuk then edited the Kanjura, and this Jiang Kanjura was then printed. So now the kingdom of Zhang actually is very closely connected with Tibet. Actually, it's considered like a part of Tibet. The Zhang is really considered the area of the Zhang kingdom at that time when it spread most widely. Included many areas in the region of Dokam, and so it's the southeastern areas of Tibet, so we can.
Southeast. Okay. No.
Yeah. And so at that time, we can say that this is the first woodblock edition of the Karma of the Kanjura that was printed in a Tibetan region. And so for that reason, it has great historical value. It's a great historical resource. It's a great historical resource. Later, the wood blocks were brought to the area of Litang, and so the edition then started to be called the Litang edition of the Kanjur. Nowadays, most of the wood blocks are gone. Most of them were burned, and there are only a few of them left. And in terms of the copies of the edition, there are only a handful, maybe only 2 or 3 that are left in the world. In any case, it is a very important, precious edition, and so it's important. So by reprinting it, the hope is that this will help us revive the teachings that are in danger of being lost.
드린 유산에다 그래다. 안다 슈유토리아 지금 아주 그 유럽체 버준 슈다 버준 슈브즘도 마세베 아주 딩상 지 가르레 차랑부터리아 자게 나가 차랑부터리아 아니지 그 유럽 차자 지 가르레다 파 제야 여바당 아니 로야 여바당 아지 배신다 두야 여버지 되지 아주 아니지 가르레 rimborum to barchi ta khadar te an pe thunyam ro chi ta thalo da pajin ka nyamdo chi ka shura nyamdo sanam ta khada thalo gonje cha ro chi de ji che che mi ma chi ta nam yu chi kan an te an ma be che shi ro de le kan yu chi go mai ba an da na ding yu ta ma chi kan yu sa na nga zo kan yu parma de chi ma ma bu ji are kashi ane Tima Kashena, Ganjur Tima Kashena, Yuede, Chuzen de that Chuzen Senan, Dosen Senan, Rando, that day, Ganjur Parmana, Mashuba, the demo on the Gua. Drain to Sanata, as you chase Rutilia, Ganjur the Chasan Shurus, Donaji, Parma the Tima, she can get Kashwas, Samolo, Takadr Chuzen. 차상슈를 지지와 그다 지시도 제대로래. 다가나신 엔 딩주리네 차상슈를 지. 이 파르마티마. 안다 가르베 창월로 지 수루스지. 안 창월 딩주리 차상슈를 돼. 들이 차 직제. 안 다나신 아주 배 관심이 좀 기타지 개와 직사기간이 리스마지베다 개와 디주기 잠샤베다 릭시 매도 좋아다 뭐 주요비 인도산 되게 상으로 주주로 수에세 안 딩두기 지가로다 차람 지가버나 지 라토 카바레 지다네 아이패드 서버레 안 다네 차람고 토려야 참여지 달로치야 입지 단도나 정아서 이게 군가르에 나로 최심 나로래 지샤디 지 페게빈도스타 제가 아주 지금 용어는 지 가서 인지기 소외 나로래야 지 체도 달로치야 되비지다 로데비에 되비지다 에너지 배주에 되비지 근데 지 과대다 계속 처리 인도산에 안 들리지요 배주로 두스 슈디가 다 이게 상황으로다 조치슈디 겨에되면 윤도내야 안 다나 신기 디쇼래야 양 주루베게다 지 나라 다 근유rum치 리메드 추진 나와 인도산 디기 자바치레야 지 미도 야르데로 체체 데데가 다지 자바치레 지 초투야로 데지 다 고바다 미 데지 손제 데체 어레스 다지 쇼트르제 타마시 다 쇼트르제 데지 최 다지 게좀 먹을 차스 다 데지
Now, we are not only reprinting the edition of the Conjure on paper, we are also now making the entire Conjure available over the internet so that it can be searched or browsed or read over the internet. And so this is something that is that accompanies our new printed edition of the Conjure. Now, many people so actually our plans are in the future that we will not include only the Conjure, we will also include the Tenjure. Actually, there are many different editions of the Conjure. They're including many handwritten manuscripts of the Conjure. And in these handwritten manuscripts, there are many texts that are not included in the printed editions of the Conjure. So our plan is to make the most complete edition of the Conjure possible that will include the texts, all the texts from the different manuscripts, as well as those from the manuscript editions, as well as those from printed editions, so that we can have the most complete set of all the different sutras and texts. We also would like to do this with the Tenjura, the translated treatises of the Indian masters, so that we can have, and so we would like to gather all the different printed and manuscript editions of the Tenjura as well, and compile them, so that we can also have the most complete editions of the Tenjura. Likewise, there are many of the great masters of all the different Tibetan lineages, the Sakya, Kagyu, Geluk, and Nyingma lineages, have written many wonderful explanations and texts. And so we would like to gather these as well and enter them as well, so that we can have an edition that it can be easily read these days, so that people can read it on their phones or on their iPads or over the internet. And so in this way, it will just, so that the Conjure will not just be something that we arrange on a shrine as we normally do, but instead something that people will be able to use, be able to read within their daily lives. We want to make, it is important that we make an edition that is the most useful edition, that it's the most useful it can be. And so that is why we are making these efforts. And so primarily this is in order to help preserve the teachings of the Buddha, and also on the side to commemorate this great activity of the 16th Karmapa, where he made the gift of Dharma to all of the different lineages. And so we taking his activity as an example, and then trying to continue that activity. And so these are the reasons for doing this new edition. So I've spoken quite a bit here, and it has been, of course, quite a digression, but I think it's been important to say these.
지 지부 지 가르에 상마로 지 다해 되지 대야 더루 간절해서나 배나 땡기 dobla 땡네 아주 가르다 지 당제 디베지 당제 다게요다 넘버 순진베 dobla 땡네 아니요 규준기 지부들 용어 규준데 제바 규준 사지 니 용도 제가 에너지 순진베 dobla 땡네 용어 규준기 엔데부디스 바타요 지다 되네 니발라 도버스나다도 친제려야 dom심치야 텔라데네 에네 제바 규준기 엔데부디스 다도가 님고도 제베기 dobla데네 에네 남이기 지부 다요 다들이 제제가다 그라 님못 없이 버티기 엔디베 다 지부 소소로 털로 그러지 되지 차대도
And so now to return to the discussion of confessions, when we talk about making a confession where the four powers are complete, if that happens, then what happens is that all of the results of our misdeeds can be purified. And so what is the manner in which they are purified? Well, the power of the support, through the power of support, we can purify all of the dominant results of our misdeeds. Through the power of remorse, there are two different types of causally compatible results. There's the causally compatible experience and the causally compatible actions. And so the power of remorse will purify all of our causally compatible experiences, the results that are similar to the causes. The power of turning away from wrong, that is the power of committing to refrain, will purify all of the compatible results of actions, that is, actions doing similar actions in the future. And the power of the antidote will purify all of the fully ripened results of our misdeeds. And so in this way, when we make a confession with all four powers, then it can purify all of the different results of our misdeeds.
다들 겨세 저주서만 남지 죄바 탐지 양다 봉어시 있습니다. 양다 봉어시 냠내 나로래 먼두가 요 말이스. 다 양다 봉어시 냠내 나로 먼두가 매버체. 다 대저 양다 봉어시 냠내 데 안에 톱시부들이야. 지 가르쳐 주 순둔 톱시부 냠내래야 수 듀네.
Now, in discussing the conduct of the bodhisattvas, the children of the Buddhas, there is a practice called the four complete abandonments. And it's said that there is no practice of the bodhisattva that is not included in these four complete abandonments. And so there is also a manner in which all of these four complete abandonments are included in the practice of these four powers.
냠내 때다 네발에 라르도베 톱디기 아니 미게와 마제바 미게바 시거라스 다드네 제바 뽕와세 두사네 나버 순진베 톱디기 아니 미게와 제심바 다탐 뽕어시거라스.
Now, of the four complete abandonments, the first of these is preventing the unvirtues that have not happened from happening, and the second is to abandon the non-virtues that have already arisen. So, abandoning preventing the non-virtues that have not happened from happening is the power of turning away from wrong, the power of resolve not to commit wrong again. This prevents us from performing those non-virtues that have not yet occurred. Abandoning the non-virtues that have already arisen is done through the power of the remorse, and through this we give up or abandon those non-virtues that have already occurred. Now, the second section of these four abandonments deal with virtue. And so the first of these is producing the virtuous qualities that have not yet arisen. And the second is to increase those virtuous qualities that have already arisen. So there are these two powers. So producing those virtuous qualities that have not yet arisen is the power of the antidote. Through the power of the antidote, it is includes the power of the antidote includes the practice of producing the virtuous qualities that have not yet arisen. The power or the practice of increasing the virtuous qualities that have already arisen is the power of the support. Through the power of support, we increase those virtuous qualities that we have already developed, and so this is included within the power of support.
제가 다들 저기 양다 본시 대당 도시 대 내지도 바바스는 다도 내가 직분으로 지 용디요래. 그래 인도산다 장쇼고 취기 초기 취수 저dwi인사 저수수dwi 장쇼 수dwi인기 냠len 탐제 아니 양다 본시 냠len 나 누구래서. 된 누구에 인사 대주제 때네 다 양다 본시 냠len 대야 계속 미부정 아주 왕부지네 용디요래. 다 된저비 양다 본시 냠렌데 아니 냠못 없이 냠렌데라 청교에 버치 드리지레샤.
And so in this way, the practice of the four complete abandonments and the four powers come down to the same point. They're really they come down to the same meaning. So there's the practice of the 37 different factors of enlightenment, the qualities or factors of enlightenment. And the practices of the 37 factors of enlightenment are all included within the four complete abandonments. And so for that reason, by practicing the four complete abandonments, for that reason, the practice of the four complete abandonments is extremely important. But the practice of the four complete abandonments is also fully contained within the practice of the four powers.
다야 지 도바사스이라 베네지 디바 망고 쉬우스타야스 코아 디바 코아 토마 메바네 다달로 투게 바도 디바 타메바지 사이베 인두산 디견제라데 베 샹돔 팀부지 챈들레야 샹돔 또스지 중세지 제샤바 디게 데 카와샤도레 데샤 샤베 고추 마레 사마로 딘제기 거로 도바케스베.
Now here it's quite possible that we might have a doubt that occurs. And the reason is we have done so many misdeeds from beginningless samsara up till now. We have done innumerable misdeeds. So how is it that just one little paltry confession in this life can actually purify all of our misdeeds? We might think that there's no way that a paltry confession could purify our misdeeds.
Nyembole yi macheveina, diva shag, nyembole yi macheveina, and diva shocked up this shag, divan diet, the shukchungaruch, the young man or something to tell.
So I think that if we do not have complete confidence in the antidote, if we don't have true belief in the antidote of confession, then it has less power for confessing or for purifying our misdeeds.
Kadambe, Kadam Kujisum Ginane, Kadambe Gavashin Chambo, Potowegi, the Pivum Bosajon, Pupum Wombosaji, Pupum Wombugin, Java, Gishi Yageva Marita, the Yavutin, Gishi Yageva Resutachi, Javaja, that in Alola, Karason Arisana, Nimi Joata, and Shannon, Daba Niga, Sangi Sunres. 상계 송바 지거스 제가 디균zel 때네 님이 네번 중국에 이치하나 네번 더여바 이치하고래서 네가 2000년 전으로 다 네번 중사를 섬 이치 이내야 다디 님부 때문에이나 디바도 더그래서 다든데 다 용섬 이 맞잖아 저 말았어 그래서나 그라 님이 중국에 대 상계 송으로 then Shana, that way, Shana, the River de Sangue Son, you in this, and Nigala, each and Nigala, each Cheva, Chiquating orders, this one, or that theatre which they shall. And that Sangi, and that Kurang the dish having Diboy or da, nearby Yavati, as we Chigi, Kitchen, what I chose, each Yavina. That Sangi, or that Divati, Nimble, ditch or ditchana, the one the race. Sumbaten, easy show. Mother Chili, Majana, that gets a chap. Just that this one, I did something Pembrokeshire, on the game.
Now, of the three great early masters of the Kadampa school, the one named Potoa wrote a text called the Blue Compendium. And there is a commentary on this by a Geshe whose name is Yangewa. And in this commentary, what he says is that that misdeeds are fault and that they can be purified by confession are both taught by the Buddha. And so if we believe that misdeeds are false and that they're wrong, then, but don't believe that it's possible to purify them, then that is a little bit strange. Because it's the Buddha who said that the misdeeds, that the wrongs are false. And the Buddha also said that if we apply the antidote, we can purify them. It's not okay to believe one and not believe the other, because they're both taught by the Buddha. The Buddha taught that wrongs are faults and problems. The Buddha also taught that if we confess them, they can be purified. So if we would believe one and not believe the other, that would be that would be rather bizarre. And so, in this case, if we believe that the words of the Buddha, and the Buddha said, if you do this, it is a misdeed, and it is wrong, and it'll bring a fault. If we believe that that is a fault, then we also have to believe what the Buddha said in that if we use the antidote, then we can purify the fault. This is the antidote. If we use it, it'll purify it. We also should believe that. To believe one and not believe the other would be rather strange.
And Gewati Kashwe. Migiwale Gewati, Junzenabo Chuiguane. That Yana Junzenaba Sanata, Kever Chuiguane. And Migiwale Gewati Topchigievici. Topchigievi Inza, Tijunzela Dene, and Gewat Hamazam Gigi, Tibebumbo, that is Rebsum John Tuyeva. That they can't. Miguel Gewati, Kever Chuiguan, Kever Position, this is so you have. And Dana Singi Namjusia de Gewala, then Miguel is some of the Shashidansa, the Zulia, somebody, Nizulia, or a Chinjilo of the Cubegi, somebody of Chimbi, used that Nizu Tadama Debekis. Says a Nizuki Gabdem Hebse. Give us somebody Zulia, Mancher. Give us somebody Zulia, that's Gabden of Giovici. We need to tolerate that. We will necessarily that Gabden of Sita. And Dana Singi Kandara, we will need to get a kind of Dembar Shiva in you start taking Zenatene and Gawashu Chigres, the day that you Zema Mojicatone, and that Gawatamaz of Singi, that kind of Dibu ribs and jumbas summer, that didn't jump you. The Mamoji, Zema Mojicare.
There is also a text by Vasubandhu in which he describes the 10 ways in which virtues are superior to non-virtues, with the 10 different manners in which which virtues are stronger than non-virtues. And so there are 10 ways that, and because of these 10 different ways, for that reason, even a minor virtuous action is able to destroy a mountain of misdeeds as large as Mount Meru. And so this is because of the 10 different ways in which the virtues are superior. And I think the reason for this is that unlike virtues, the unvirtuous thoughts, the thoughts of greed, hatred, and delusion, are actually erroneous in terms of the way things actually are. They don't really fit with the nature of things. They have no support in the way that things actually are. Virtuous intentions, on the other hand, have the basis, they have the support in the nature of how things are. They have the support of the truth, a real basis, a real support. And so for that reason, the virtue becomes more powerful. And so this is the reason, or these are some of the many reasons why even a minor virtue can destroy a heap of misdeeds that is as large as Mount Meru.
This Nintu Devata teaching Kavar Chimpitu Medasamaruchre. Nintu Deveki Nami Yonge Lesorba, Nami Yonge Lede, Manyong Pado, Meva Chagmares. The Shakachetua, Meva Sayamaras, Chumisa Sajorba, the Meva Chayamares. That teaching Daniel Narolea, Nyora Nebegi, led some to Mazebeg, Samebe led Zuinea, and Yamutushiguan and I have achieved Sundua. And Dana Shingi Penat Gubumintrubegi, Sunga, Tizuna Lola, and Chebong led Zuinea. And it Kajurata, the USJ, Sunga de Devaltin, Chebong led Zuya, the USJ, to the Sundua. Jazadi, Junzen Deneta, and the Kashwe. Yandis Dana, so that Nindu teaching Kizakan, Takada, Top Kavata, and Dana Singiji, Suzuki, Shirup down, and Sundu, Kavata power of the Chumbu Imina, or the Wakarina Natuya Yedivsi, and Tavla Makevich. And Shirup and Zundu Manda Imina, Takazan Shevan and Shere, Lumbu Dibuchuya, Gis the Anaji. I would do what you do, Sam, and I take a legal Dibuchamo charge. And then Kasuachi, Kalahabachi on the Arabs in the Use.
There's also a difference between the presentations of the foundation and great vehicles. In the foundation vehicle, it is said that there is karma that is definitely experienced. And it is explained that until that the results of that action is experienced, that karma will not disappear. So there are actions that are said that you cannot confess. As it is said, the karma is never depleted. But in the great vehicle, it is said that not only the karma that is definitely experienced can be purified, even the heinous actions can be purified through the four powers. It also is said in the Dharani mantra of the Buddha Akshobhya that even the wrong of rejecting the Dharma can be purified. So this is clearly said in the Dharani, that by reciting the Dharani you can purify the action of rejecting the Dharma or denying the Dharma. So whether this is a question of difference between foundation or greater vehicle, in any case, if you are skilled in the methods and you have enough intelligence and diligence, then you can purify any misdeeds. But if you don't have the skill in the methods, you lack the prajna, you lack the diligence, then you cannot purify them. So as I said yesterday, a fool's small misdeed will become heavy. So if someone who is not skilled in this does a small misdeed, then gradually that'll become have a very heavy result and be very difficult.
Chanju Sembe Denu Dizu Nalolea, Pumbu Sumbe Doa, Sambuji, Monamsi, Tashim Zinangdoa. The Pumbu Sumbe Doa Sedung Anzu, Dunsha, Senandra, Takanda, Sange, the worship Susongalea, Chaseje, that Degi, Diwasha, Jesu Ronga, Oacha, de la Pumbu Sumba Slagdoa. Zazanda Digi, Yamachana Usre. Jidangi, Dunsha de Sungyunlia, Dunsha de Yagalea, Mid Digin, Dibuchit Degi, and Dunsha de Ores. Then Jagati Zugi, that Gavang Jagati in the Peli on this sana, Kuzulagoresta. Pell meet the butcher shooting the Saras, Harasa, Tunsha Gunduin Chedidos. The Nimatawari Tonsha in the East. Tonsha Gunduin check with the butcher Pella Yavar Nangos. Today, Castle Gemolambras, Digi, Sungun to the Yondido. That can't carry in a minute, Castle. 양 참sam이야 가수에 디바 아 디바 사다고 샤난 다도 삼네고 디바를 능중체 그러와 아 디바 존나 좀 가르쳐 봐면도 때 샤바체는 저건도 삼지 정거 봐 다야데 깔아가버려 다 디바 사다 그 뒤에지 장마체 버지 용주 사나 다 망보 chen 타마도 수수 라마게 해야지 용도 와나 사는 라마게 해야지 다들 가다지 갑자기 좋아하면 게지 이 정도야 Today, the Tambonage is Kandarachi, the day that the work has started. Telia Kashoja Pamevata, Tana Singi, Nangchunguan, Mason Chichi, Susuigita Kashoji, that Nin Lensum, 10 Lensums, the Majone, Kandarachi. Ngagong, Ngaduji, Kondaji, the Nerji, Suze, the Shajon of the Chetuna. I will get something here.
Among the scriptures of the Bodhisattvas, there's the sutra in 3 sections. There's also the noble aspiration for excellent conduct. So the sutra in 3 sections we often also call the confession of downfalls. And so this is prostrating to the 35 Buddhas, confessing misdeeds, and dedicating and rejoicing. And I think that practicing it is very good. So when we practice this sutra in 3 sections, then it actually is originally said that it is for purifying grave misdeeds. So people who have done grave wrongs should recite this text, it was originally said. And so when the scholars and masters came from India to Tibet and they saw all the Tibetans reciting this sutra in 3 sections daily, they thought to themselves, this is really strange. All of these Tibetans must have really done many horrible wrongs because they're all reciting the sutra in 3 sections all the time. So it was a rather comical statement that is often found. In any case, we sometimes might think to ourselves, well, if we do something wrong, it's not a big deal. We can always confess it. Not a big deal. And confess it and do that. But I think there's a danger that we'll then think, it's okay to do misdeeds, we can confess them later. But what happens is that then the one misdeed leads to another, and they just pile up on each other, and there's no way for us to get out from under them, no way to actually purify them. And so I think from the very beginning, it is important for us not to think that we can always confess our misdeeds, and that it's important for us to confess our misdeeds. It is important for us not to become careless and disregard them or consider them unimportant. Instead, as it is said, the sutra in 3 sections should be recited 3 times per day and 3 times per night. But I think that if at least if we can do it once in the morning and once in the evening, then to do a confession once in the morning and once in the evening is very good.
TV 나이나 다 개방하면 TV디야 깔아가버치도 다 디산 TV를 면주여지 면지 야고시다요 다 이나야 TV 면주여를 매여를 삼네 그 통중체는 도나시다 맞으세 건주문 주셔야 되나 내가 잡쇼 나 제가 디균선 때네 다 매여의 집이 핑겨 말아 다들 매여의 능신기 대비면도 봐 뒤도를 세 and said Janam this I would then rich heavy mina, and go Peter Murwa. At the end of G. Paji Chaposre.
It's like with tuberculosis. Tuberculosis used to be a really terrifying disease, but these days there's treatment for it. There's medicine for that. But just the fact that there is a treatment for tuberculosis doesn't mean that we should disregard it. We should think it's unimportant or not pay any attention to it. If we disregard it and do whatever we'd like, then actually it can be quite dangerous. Just there merely being medicine does not help. We have to also take the medicine, need to take the medicine regularly on time. We need to have good food and take care of ourselves. And so I think it is similar with the confession of misdeeds.
아주 지 삽제 베벨로서 지 삽제 망고제 당보라 니니발라 솜 데라야 솜시가 조드윈게 스타바 지게 지트르도 산다 가르셰데 시라시랑 고차명의 지 용도와 다들인데 다 최봉사디 다다 너나 최명인 발라야 최레사데 바지 최봉을 차디 있으라 최 인버지를 최 말해서데 최봉 차리가 다 너는 최봉와서 담배 최봉와서 제가 아니 상계를 때문에 디거데 아니 다도르스 최를 때문에 디거데 나한테 깔아가고 싶지 제가 수익안 다음에도 디거데 아주 제나 아니 내가 사고 싶지 나한테 깔아가고 싶지 제가 디균선 때에다 최봉 관리하게 진 노두지 쇼고삼 찬소.
So I mentioned the karma of rejecting the Dharma, and so I think I'm going to take this opportunity to digress. I've already digressed, and so I might as well continue digressing. It's like in Tibetan treatises, there are all these very extensive outlines where it says the first point has 3 different sections, the second of those has 4, then there are 5, then 6, 7, 8 different sections, one leading to the other. And by the time you get really deep within the outline, you can't tell where what you were actually talking about in the beginning. In any case, rejecting the Dharma, the Dharma of rejecting the Dharma means, or the action of rejecting the Dharma means, if we think that something that is not Dharma is Dharma, then that is rejecting the Dharma. If we think that something that is the Dharma is not the Dharma, then that is also rejecting the Dharma. And the reason is that by rejecting these Dharmas, what we're doing is we're rejecting or we're denying the true Dharma. It's said that we can purify the misdeeds that happen in relation to the Buddha, but it's very difficult to purify misdeeds that happen in relation to the Dharma. It's like there's nothing we can do to fix them, and they're very difficult for us to purify. And so for that reason, I would like to speak a little bit about the rejecting the Dharma.
다데 최봉사데 다 최봉사데 식디 남규 배주시라 지금 배주시라 등면에서 최봉사야 직사버를 때 간제지에 삼방과를 쳐로 단 도랑 아주 출루라 지금 아주지 담배 취하를 출루지 출루라 다 취규를 배 출루지하데 아 최봉사 바지 대 진실 원진 더라인 원진과 수치 바지 드리시레샤 다 대야 변화 티브 심비체 티브 중요체에 비나 어다 티브 중요체에 대한 담배체 말았어. 근데 제제는 두셔비면 야 대야 최봉차리요. 나 티브 심비 나로네 양 안주 변하지 변하고 질 참비면 나 지금 안주 취규 망보셔야다. 영수 잡이 취규다 시르비 쇼한디요. 제가 디디 지기질이야. 다 지금 그 유인 제가 그 유대에 코나베 넘버 타와래 신다디 때가 저라 말에 넘버 타고 싶다 말에 동도를 지다 아니 취시라 넘버 타고 말에 동도를 지데 삼바디 최고 차려 다 최고 다음에 최고 차려
So rejecting the Dharma is a phrase that we don't use all the time. So when we talk about rejecting the Dharma or denying the Dharma, we might think this is some sort of a new term and wonder what it is that it means. But basically what it means is that when we start to have a sectarian bias for different religious traditions, then that is the basis, or that is what we can identify as being the basis for rejecting the Dharma. Like we have the Dharma of the greater vehicle and the Dharma of the foundation vehicle. If we were to say that the Dharma of the Mahayana, the greater vehicle, is not Dharma, then that is an instance of rejecting the Dharma. Even within the greater vehicle, there are many different traditions. In Tibet, there are many different lineages, and of course, there are the four most well-known traditions. And if we start having a sectarian bias between them, and if we say to ourselves, I'm a Kajupa, and because I'm a Kajupa, therefore only the Kaju Dharma is true and authentic Dharma. Other Dharma is not authentic, is not pure Dharma. Then that is also an instance of rejecting the Dharma.
Tigwa chijunsa dosa tunjorushe. Tigwa chimbul devina, Tigwa chungura and rigor. Taina Nazor tuna, Tigwa chungur rea, that Tigwa chimbured. Nazor devina. The Tigwa chimbured. Tigwa chimbu yamlin chingage devina, Tigwa chungur is lambda, but it's Gurova. Taina Nazuki, Guzu, some of that, Nazuki. 지 가르쳐야지 냠랭기 추제 내단으로 늘 때베이나 티버 중고도 티버 라나면 버려 차체 아도 단동배 비 티버 지 튜몽 티버 중유기 바트 냠내 레알라 단동배 깬사를 뭐 망부지 자고 알아 식더니 지 내단으로 차대하래 제가 디 균센데 아주 지 티버 첨보도 티버 중우시 민zam라 현재 아 다디 티버 중으로 다디 중중으로 개체 뭐 말해 아주 티버 첨보를 해서 되지나 카데버 시엔다 시적으로 봐 다이네 지 삼로 나도 거네 오늘네 다 수수 기술 당지 자나 지 다용도 자네 지 도르용도 다 지중 간에 도도 하고
So when we talk about the greater and the foundation, or the Mahayana and Hinayana, sometimes, the greater and lesser vehicles, we sometimes translate them as, and when you talk about them, then this is really just in relation to different things. In relation to the Mahayana, the Hinayana is lesser. But in relation to us, then the Hinayana actually is greater. It's a greater vehicle for us. And so we aren't even at the level where we can do Mahayana practice, and so how can we? And so actually, the practice is the foundation. In comparison to the Mahayana practice, the Hinayana practice, it may seem lower, but it's not just that. It's also we have to compare it to the own level of our own beings. We need to look at the state of our practice, the level of our practice. And in relation to ourselves, then the practices of the lower vehicle are actually the practices of an unsurpassable vehicle. And this is because we haven't come anywhere near the practices of the common vehicles of Buddhism. There are many different ladders that we need to climb before we even get to the level of the practices of a lower vehicle. And so for this reason, we might get attached to the names of the foundation vehicle or the greater vehicle. And we can say, the greater vehicle is better, the foundation vehicle is not important. And if we are glib, it is easy to say this, but if we actually turn our attention inside and look within ourselves to see honestly what the level of our own practice actually is, then we can actually know, how advanced are these practices? What is the level that we are able to do? Are we able to do the foundation or the greater level vehicle practices?
왜 가지고 저러지 사기가 니리스마 취기 소소소에 되버데 까마바 듬버치라게 저게 다 송지야르 디나로라 가르송하르사나 안소지 사기 거니 개발지 아주 3년 나로 답에 제바시 쉬부지 예 되버지 남사 토대비 제바를 예 되버지 다들 삼단디 알았어 다 대응 말을 제비나 마체디 사기 거니 예 되버지 라마 유범이라지 dense기 처리미로 된데가 토네 천 토대지 마도베 대응 엄마 템바 코랑근에 셰비미나 아주지 오늘 민다 시다 개발민도스 야간에 밥에 유네 상기 때문에 직제제 별 다야마도 야간에 상기 때문에 니숨싱아 조드윈 제제 된데지 망보지 별 다야마 상기 때문에 직별 다 대 나로래 직디 유범민자다 지야지 densa 대세기 저름이로 된대가 토하는 준비 개발지원 거예요. 준비 개발됐지 알았어. 근데 주규 지고 있네. 바나다지 주규 지고 있네. 디나로 대대스입니다. 알았어. 바나지 베나 타자지네. 타나지 대서지네. 될지 안되지. 뉴제디 딱세 단다면라지. 아직 계시 디진 진사면라로 되어 ngakbatizwe te doji tribu shagda mendra doji tribu pa shagre tribu chu shagre sarbatende da chi ante te chi cheda mendra yar da te chungsa de zo da te temba korang tinde te chi mendra yo te temba korang moto ne mendra res la na ta kala khawshi jesa moto ne an samaro chi je jawe temba yi chikba 아니 다나신 배 간증 좀 추규 상으로 지자와도 유배라마 편수 지기지라베 잡아야 돼 봐. 지기지는 돼 봐. 잡아자는 매교지 수수지고 행동 건지나신 들지랑 되겠지 요 말아 봐. 다 상으로 지기지는 잡아차 돼. 저 유이라마 편수 잡아야 돼 봐. 또 차대요. 제가 디균셀 때네 전 담발라야 그 셰비나 안 상으로 간다지 근데 가서 먼저 요 말아 돼 이면에 다 직된베 착당한데 쳐 돌아야 주 쿠르용지 아니 직 된데가 토하는다 간다 지 최당 아사다 인전주로 좀 망부지 원데 버스 다디 야데스 게 말았어 다디 템바 냠베 따데 마도지 템바 타베 따스 게 말았어 된데지 수
So in Tibet we have the different lineages, the Sakya, Kaju, Geluk, and Nyingma lineages. There's an interesting thing that the 7th Karmapa Chodaikyasa said about this. And what he said is that normally we think that there are great differences between the Sakya, Kaju, Geluk, and Nyingma traditions. We think that there are huge differences, as different as the heavens and the earth. But actually, if we look at it, the differences between the Sakya, Kaju, Geluk, and Nyingma lineages really come from differences in the lineages of the lamas and the differences of the monasteries where they spread. The teachings themselves, there are actually no real major differences. This is because when Buddhism spread from India, there was one Buddhist religion that spread from India to Tibet. It's not like there were 2 or 3 or 5 or 6 or 7 or many different Buddhisms that spread to Tibet. There was one Buddhism that spread to Tibet. And so within that, there were different minor differences in the lineages, different monasteries, and these led to different minor differences in the way presentations were made. So such minor differences naturally happen. We can see this, even within a single different monastery, with a single different system, there are many different ways that people do things. You might have one large monastery in which there are several slightly different ways that you can explain the collected topics, different ways that a different way that commentaries are made. Even among yogis, we can see that there are differences in things like how do they place the bell and the vajra. Some place the vajra on the right and the bell on the left. Some place it the other way around. So these are these really minor little differences in how things are done. And to say that because there are these minor differences in how things are done, that there is it would be difficult to say that because of these minor differences that there is some sort of essential difference between the teachings. In essence, they are all the same teachings of the Buddha. And so, in this way, all of the lineages that spread to Tibet are connected because of the interconnected relations between all of the root and lineage lamas. They're all connected to each other, and they're all related to each other. And so they all share these connections in common. So if we talk about it on an ultimate level, there is no difference at all. It is just in terms of how things appeared in the world that we then plaster that idea onto the Dharma, and then we get this idea of there being competition between us and them, and this is a sign of the decline of the teachings.
Gombaji yaris, Gombaji tayan this 야 공부 chung 야 공부 체 된래 초가 차네 라와 주고 초가 차네 롭종차 다진지 미지 롭종차 침다 롭종차 진 딱그 움제디 가르쳐야 돼도 딱그 배 숭제 그 가래 제디는 토지가 있어 봐 토지가 있어 다 움제디 안 도지지부도 주시나 고 디가래 다 꾸이리 줍지나 다 꾸이리 줍지면 초가도 가르되거나 되게 아니 움제 간sam수도 고 니셔리 있어 봐 니셔도 상권 되마질레도 고 도지데마 롱소레스 코피게 때려로 그때 진주드니 야때는 움제데 가르제데도 따데도잖아 단 니카도 도지데마 땅고 유사레스 니가는 도지 똥 써야지 그 체인지 잡샤 근데 제마 코바 공배나 팔레 어떤 니가는 인지미지 그 도지디 맛 가르 땅고 레스 되지 그 모르체레스 삼삼 다 통화 유베스도 파 미그 통주 근데 통화도 다때 마지 삼삼들이 용거 있어 가시 다들 아주 튜몽만 입이 자신 있어요. 다한테 아주 튜몽만 입이 때문에 자신에 튜몽만 입이 딱 간다. 냠내 싶지 있어. 딱 공부하신다 매겨. 네가 렌지미 도지 마마다나 야 주가 쇼라.
Sometimes in ritual, there are many stories about how this happens in rituals. Like, there was one monastery, a very small monastery, and so they sent a monk, they said, you must go to this big major monastery, you must learn how to do this ritual. And so he said, yes, of course, and he went to this large monastery. And what he decided to do is he would watch carefully everything that the chant master, the umze, did, and he would take notes on it. And so he'd be watching, and the umze would pick up his bell and vajra, and the monk would take a note. At this point, you pick up your bell and vajra. Well, while he was doing this, the chant master started to fall asleep. And as the chant master fell asleep, he dropped his vajra. It fell in his lap. And so when the vajra fell in his lap, then this new monk was there watching. Okay, at this point you must drop your vajra. And he wrote a note in his text. You must drop your vajra. And so then later he went back to his monastery and he instructed them. Now when you get to this line in the text, you must drop your vajra. And so then it was the tradition developed in that monastery that it's like you have to drop the vajra at this point. This is what we call the visual transmission. You're writing down things, everything that you see. You see it with your eyes and you think that this must be the tradition. And so this is the danger that can happen then. And then what happens is that we bring this back to our monasteries and we say, this is our own special ritual, the special ritual of this monastery. At this point in this practice, you absolutely must drop your vajra.
다들 같이 되어버렸어. 나가서 차사님에게 동디어라. 너무 동디어라. 차네. 차맹이 동디어라. 다들 같이 해서 나갔어. 다 그til이야 영인데 그 유에서 말아 다 같이 돼요. 저신이 죄다 차는 스스로 못 동디. 다디 칠 된게 너무 찬도면도 따디어라. 너무 찬도면도 디즈기 브로킹이 찬도면 따디. 그 사는 은혜를 삼태에서 그거 다 적으라라 걸. 그 하고 가자님이다 가제리스. 너무 찬도면도 가자님이다 드린다는 거. 디제시랑 고쳐서 만나. 말다 너무 동어와. auspicious. 다 죄사로. 저시 죄사 남자 전로. 이나 고즈 루즈라 저시 주에서 당가 저 너무 동야요. 뭐뭐 지 차면 동이잖아. 때 미지 있어라 잡았지. 그렇게 잡아치려 연게 잡아들려. 고즈 가지 돼요. 알았다. 근데 차면 게 가르동돼. 너무디 차도면도 떠가 알았어. 때그라 가산입니다. 드링당 가지.
Okay, now I got it. There are many such stories of of practices like this in monasteries. Like there was one monastery where they'd done the white Tara practice, and afterwards they were doing they'd done the auspicious prayers. And the tradition at that monastery was that after you've done the auspicious prayers, that then you do this long music. You're playing the cymbals for a very long time. It's like never ending. It's like sitting there playing the music for ages and ages. It's like it's never going to end, and people are wondering, when is it going to end? Well, when they're doing this, there was a new monk who was sitting next to the umze, and the monk was wondering, well, we've finished the practice, we've recited the auspicious prayers, and now this music is just going on forever. It's never going to end. What's happening? And so he asked the umze, what's going on? And the umze said, oh, I'm just checking to see whether these cymbals are broken or not. And so then the next day when they...
No. He said, why did you test that yesterday?
Yeah. So the next day when they did the puja, he said, yesterday you checked it for half an hour. Why are you checking it again today?
다들 인도산에 간다지 가수에 안주기 가수다. 저기 추규 지미에다 지 기부다 맞지기 지 가수다 간다. 좋아라 디기 좀 해도 다 간다. 디리지기 템퍼를 보지 주 아니 셰바도 주베데 주 안 때베 윤주 내체샤위 말데 다디 지 최본 랭엔사의 게 윤저부지당 저기 시절을 차베네 아버지라요 말을 삼정도 디인두산 참에데 돌샤로나도 쉬아이
So the great masters of all of the different lineages founded shudders, they founded retreat centers, they founded lineages of teaching and explanation in order to bring sentient beings happiness. And so if that becomes the basis or the cause for the action of rejecting the Dharma, then this is not at all acceptable. And I think it's important for us to keep this in mind.